Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leulei nishmas Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Yehuda Cohen from Chicago. Wow. He davens in my shul. I daven in his shul, I should say.
Wow, the Chicago.
Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? You look so familiar. I know, only a few times. I've been wine yeah, every day. What's your names? Yossi, Ritzler, your son. Oshi, Shalom Aleichem from Borough Park. I met you at least a few times. Yeah. Benoch, Rabbi Geffen. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Geffen. Shalom. That's your brother-in-law. Chashiv. Rabbi Yosef, I have an unbelievable daf today. And don't get used to it. We're not going to have something like this for a few months. All the way to Bava Metzia, so eat it up. It's geschmack. I bought my kids the new bestseller book from Nachman Seltzer, Angels in Orange, after they saw you advertising it. So they asked me if it's stories like Rebelli tells or it's real Motzei Shabbos. Hashtag, Rabbi said, listen to this. This is a kiss from Hashem. Hashtag, Kol mevakish rachem achaveiro v'utzorch lo yisidover hunana tchila Rosh Hashanah Daf Beis. So I don't know if he knows that line is in today's daf. I guess, maybe. I don't know. Rebelli Shalom Alecha Rabbi Moiri. You said yesterday a beautiful story about Yossi Klein. They chazes the daf of the week every Shabbos. This reminds me of a story 7 years ago by my son-in-law's Ufruf. Who has a problem with the Rabbi Moiri? Who is that?
Nobody. Everyone's Rabbi Moiri.
No, I hear somebody grumbling over there with the Rabbi Moiri. Who is that? The New Yorker? That's you? This reminds me of a story 7 years ago. My son-in-law's Ufruf. My mechutin's chavrusa came in to speak. He started off by saying, and this is a guy that learned with him for 7 years or so, comes in to speak. He said, I don't know anything about the family. I'm learning with him for 6 years, so I'm only going to say Dvar Torah. I found out later why. Every Friday night after the Suda, both in the winter and the summer, they chazah the entire week's daf, which takes them 4 to 5 hours, so they don't waste time. They start off by wishing each other good Shabbos, and finish off with wishing each other good Shabbos for almost 13 years, and he knows nothing about the other person. Mika Am Yisrael, Shmulik Kleiner. This is for your next book. 13 years. He comes to the Shabbat and says, I don't know anything about the Mechutin. Let me just say it about Torah. We learn every Friday night for 4.5 years.
13 years, 4.5.
Yeah. Boys, this actually, I got emotional when I read this. It says over here on some sort of message. Oh, if you go to joinforyidi.com, that's about Yidi, join the daf for him. So it says over here, somebody wrote, Sally, I'm stomach Sally Forking. Yidi got me to join right before he got sick, and I didn't even get to tell him thank you. Thank you for the 45 minutes a day that changed my life in so many different ways. Tata es is git, geb mich noch. Daddy, it's good, give me more. I've given up sending in you emails. The only way I know you have read it is when you read it out by the shir. Now that we got the famous Shimi Leafman, you can't ignore. In his merit, I'll be remembered l'toiv. Your Talmud from Ksibis. Look how he writes Ksubis. Ksibis. Chof, Tov, Yud, Beis, Tov. Ksibis, Daf Beis, Shulam Berkovich. Have a wonderful and meaningful day. Shulam Berkovich. Here, he's right. If you have Shimi Leafman in the video, it goes on. That's how it is.
No.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai. I need to redo it.
No.
Again. Good morning, Rabbi Sai from Golders Green.
Okay. I don't know how that got in there. We have to do the. We'll jump right into the sponsors. The Koil of the month, no one yet. The Masechta, sponsored for the unity of Am Yisrael. Parnas HaChodesh, Shprintzy and Avrumie Gross. The Olam is on Zoom. Whoever wants to say hello. Avrumie Gross, the nishmas, the yahrzeits of our fathers. Zlman ben Yצחק, Aייzik zechron levrach, and Benimin, Aייzik ben Hiresh, הכהן zechron levrach. Parnas HaChodesh. Leulei nishmas Zechrיה ben Moshe, Leulei nishmas Chaya bas Yosef, the neshama should have an aliyah. Parnas HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, and should be zechus to rebel to continue siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaYom, Simcha Weichbrod. Leulei nishmas my mother. Blimah bas Moshe on the yahrzeits this Shabbos. Shom should have an aliyah. Come more often. Amen. Fanas Ayoim, David Badiel. Happy birthday to my father, Stephen Badiel. Sets the example of Kveidat Torah for us all. May have a full Refuah Shleyma B'Korov. Be able to attend the live share again very soon. Eliezer Shmuel Ben Veeta. I remember him. He was in the Manchester share, I believe. Yep. Art of the month, anonymous with the zechus when he's childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. Rabboisai. It's an unbelievable daf. Let's go. We are holding 6 lines from the bottom of Tzadik Amud Amud Beis. 90 daf in the Bava Kama. 90 daf in the Bava Kama. 3 months ago, we were in the hotel in the Shabbaton. Omar Rav. All of us, the ones that were meant to be there. Omar Rav, Dikla de Toin Kaba. If you have a palm tree that has just 1 kav, which is approximately, according to Chazon Ish, which is the big share, 2.5 liters worth of dates. Imagine this: this guy that trains dogs to detect the bug that destroys the palm trees lives here in Bet Shemesh. I called him up yesterday. His name is Gili. He said, "Tell me a little bit about your dogs." So he said, "Listen, some of these trees produce 200 kilo of dates, approximately 400 pounds of dates. I bought yesterday. I just happened to buy this majul, whatever it's called. It's majul. Most of the produce comes from Eretz Yisrael, by the way. 60 shekel a kilo. So let's say $7-8 a pound. That's like $3,000 a tree of produce. $3,000. He says even if 60 shekel, which translates to like $7 a pound. 2.2 pounds per kilo. Do the math. The kids are, it's like 1,200 shekel, $3,000 a tree. So, whatever, do the math. Be'erech, who cares? It's thousands of dollars a tree. The point is,
much more. Mendy says it's much more.
Much more. Okay, you do the cheshbon. Fine, much more. The point is that if the tree only produces 2.5 liters, whatever, this amount. You can't cut it down. It's already bal tashchus to cut it down. Also, let me say, what about an olive tree? Roiva, only 1/4 of that amount, 1/2 liter, let's say, whatever it is. Why so little? Says Gemara Shani Zeis in the Chashivi, because in those days olives were more expensive than dates, so therefore the shear is less. My son Shivchas died. Why? He cut down a palm tree before he was allowed to cut it down. Tainasa, fig tree, thank you. What if there's more value in the wood? I want to knock down the tree because I want to build a house. Mutter. So here you have the first heter to cut down a tree. It's not about the fruit, it's about the baltashkas. And when you have more benefit from the wood than the fruit, then it's mutter to cut it down. Oh, so we're going to get there. I just want to say, we'll get to the Mishnah. Here are the psukim. The first pasuk tells you, right afterwards it says, Rak eitz asher teida, kilo eitz machlu. So those 4 words are really extra. It could start off, if you have a tree that's not eitz machal, it's just a non-fruit producing tree. So rak eitz asher teida, what are these words? Ze'ilan machal, kilo eitz machalu, ze'ilan srak. So you have a tree that produces fruit and one that doesn't. If the Torah is telling us that you're permitted to knock down a fruit tree in time of war, so certainly a fruit tree that doesn't produce fruit you're allowed to knock down. To tell us that if you have a choice, you go right, you go left. To the right is a fruit tree, and to the left is a non-fruit tree. So go to the one that doesn't produce fruit. Either way, you're allowed to. If there's only one way to go, so you're allowed to take down the fruit tree because it's a war. Top of Tzadik Beis, I would think that even if the fruit tree brings more money from chopping it down for the wood in it, you should go and chop down the other tree. In other words, the Torah is telling us that if it's more beneficial for you in your pocket to knock down the tree, so knock it down. Shmuel Eisele Arisi Tamre. So Shmuel, he had a sharecropper. In those days, you had a field, you had somebody else do the work, and they would split usually a third and 2/3. So the Aris brings some dates. Here's a date. Ochel Toim Behu Tamad Chamro. He was able to taste wine inside of the date. Amalei, my hi, what's going on here? Funny tasting dates. Amalei Beini Gufni Kaimi. These palm trees are growing in the vineyard, so it has a little bit of the taste of the wine. Omar, you're ruining the vineyard, but by having the flavor of the grapes inside the dates, obviously you're taking flavor out of the dates. No.
Why?
Well, because it's a certain distance, whatever it is, that wasn't the issue. I want you to uproot the palm tree and bring it to me. Why? Because I have more benefit from the grapes. So here's another reason why you're permitted to knock down a tree. He saw that the small palm trees are growing in the vineyard. Take them out. Why? You could purchase more palm trees with the profit that you get from grapes. But when you have palm trees, palm trees are not more profitable enough to buy a vineyard. In those days, vineyards certainly were more profitable than. So anyways, it goes by the Baltashkis, where your profit is. The Achronim speak about what happens in Bnei Brak. Are you permitted to chop down a tree in order to build a building or not? So it could be that according to halacha it's mutter, but it's not advisable. So it doesn't bring good mazel, and it's a bad thing. They don't advise. So ask your local rabbi before you do it. What? Sakana, not advise. Right? Indian of sakana, not so much Allah. Above, they are very makbid. That's what I'm saying. In Bnei, the guy had it for many, many years, just waiting for them to die out, and they wouldn't die. Like all of a sudden, when you need the tree to die, if you have a tree, you don't put water, it dies, within a month. But if you want it to die, then it lasts for 25 years, and kids, that's what happened over there. Says the Leulei Mishnah, sponsored by Moshe Cohen, l'schus, shemens hatzlach and ruchnius and gashmius, afal bishu noisen loy, even though you pay for the damage that you caused, for the busha that you caused someone, enimcha loy ad shivakish mimenu. You only get full forgiveness from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't forgive unless you receive forgiveness from the person that you damaged. Shenemar va'ato hoshev eishes. We're talking about here. Let's see the psukim for a second. The famous parsha of Avram and Avimelech. Vayom Avram el Sar ishto achoisihi. He told Avimelech that Sarah is his sister. Vayishlach Avimelech melech Gura vayikach Sarah, and he took her. Vayover Elihim el Avimelech v'chaloi ma'aloyla. Vayomer lo hincha meis. You're going to die. Al isha shelakachta v'ibul asbol. She says shish. V'Avimelech v'ikar v'ela. He never touched her. Vayomer. What, you're going to kill me? I'm a tzaddik. He told me. Says the pasuk, Kodesh Baruch Hu tells him, give the Eishes back. Kinoviyu. Avram Avinu is a navi. What's kinoviyu? Simple pshat is kinoviyu, that he knows that you didn't do anything wrong. That he's a navi. Don't worry about it. He'll daven for you. Give her back. You see that Kodesh Baruch Hu says he's going to daven for you. He's going to daven. So you have to ask Mechila. You have to. Story, a guy was very embarrassed to ask forgiveness from somebody that he did wrong to. And I think that's part of the process, part of the mechila that you get is by being embarrassed. It's embarrassing to say, I wronged you, please be moichel. That goof is, you get mechila. The guy was very embarrassed. He asked the rabbi, can I ask mechila over the phone? So, yeah, you can ask for forgiveness over the phone. So he calls up, the guy, Mr. Friedman. Hello? Yeah. Is this Kopelovich? No, it's not Kopelovich. I'm sorry. And he hangs up the phone. That doesn't count. Oh, there's a lot of, you saw this in today's daf, a lot of Musar Haskell and halachas that are relevant to us. If somebody did you wrong and he comes over to you and he asks you for mechila, and you're not moichel him, You're an achzari. How do you say achzari in English? You're cruel. It's cruelty not to be moichel somebody, not to forgive. Shenemar, I mean, it's natural. Look, you know what you did to me? You're just going to come over and ask me, Chila, I want you to come 6 times, the whole thing. It's cruelty. Shenemar vayispala Avram Elohim, vayirpo Elohim esavi melech. Not only did Avram, after what he did to him, he took away his wife, he davened for him, that he should be good, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu healed Abimelech because of it. Says the Mishnah, Nu halacha. I want you to blind me. And the guy goes ahead and blinds him, and he says, What are you doing? I was joking. I wasn't serious. The guy took him literally. He said, blind. He blinded his eye. Katayas yodi, shabes ragli, break my foot, chop my hand off. Chayev. The guy that does it is chayev. Amanas liftar, and even if he says, don't worry about it. I'm being serious here. You'll be potter. Chayev, he's still chayev. Kras susi, however, if he says, I want you to rip my clothing, shaberes kadi, break my car, chayev, then he's still chayev. But if the guy says, Amanas liftar, you could destroy my car, do whatever you want, and you won't be chayev. He says specifically you won't be chayev. In that case, potter, the Gemara is going to discuss what the difference is between saying break my arm, and in all cases you're chayev, and versus a kli that you're potter. I say kain lish play now manas lifter. Somebody has a big enemy, so he tells like a random person. He says, you know, that guy wants you to burn his house down. So the guy goes and burns the house down. The guy comes out. What are you doing? He said, so and so told me that you want me to burn the house down. He says, I never said that. He's lying. He hates me. So who's chayev? The guy that sent him, the guy that lied, or the guy that burnt? The guy that burnt. There's no shleichus d'var veira. I say kain lish play now manas lifter. Chayev. Ben begufoy, the guy told him, go break his arm. He likes broken arms. You go break a random guy's arm. Chayev. Ben begufoy bim. Says Gemara, all this that we said that you're paying for the boishes. When somebody's mitzar you. Yeah, there's a guy sitting right over here with Leulei. He was sitting last night, and he said, he screamed, he screamed, you're right, he screamed. Why should I be moichel da mishgiach? Because we were talking you have to be moichel. He says, I cannot be moichel da mishgiach in my yeshiva, what he did to me. And then the whole drasha. So I said, here, Tzaroi. Rashi explains that I have to pay for your boishes today. But what about the boishes that you have 10 years later when you remember what the mishgiach did to you, and it gives you trauma when you're in your 40s? That's a whole different tzar. That, says the Gemara, Tzaroi, afilu hevi kol elin nevoisha ba'olam. Even if the mashgiach brought all these korbanos, einim chaloi, not moichel. Achi yivakish mimenu. It's not enough to ask mechila from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to go to the human being, to the person you damaged, and yivakish mimenu. Shenemar hoshev eishes ish kinovihu v'yispal ba'atcho. Ask the Gemara Davi's question. Deishes novi boyadur, because she's the wife of a novi. That's why you have to return. Eishes achale boyadur. She's eishes ish. You have to return no matter what. Of course, you have to return somebody's wife. With Ga'amris, but Avimelech had a time, Baruch Hu, how could you kill me? I'm innocent. He told me that she's his sister. And she even admitted that. So on that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, listen, he's a Navi. He's a person that goes around, not Navi like he has Ruach HaKodesh, but a Navi that darshans in the world. And everybody already heard about Avram Avinu's Hachnas Sarchim. When somebody comes off a long journey, what's the first thing you ask him? Say, do you need a cup of water? You don't look at him and say, oh, you don't ask him, by the way, this person next to you is your sister, Shiduchim. What do you do? That's not what you talk about. You talk about... Huh?
When they got to come give me Malcolm off, they ask.
Unseichel. Navihu. Ukfar limeid. Avram Avinu taught us. Achsanoi shabali. Somebody comes, somebody new. So you ask him right away, do you want something to drink? Can I make you tongue? Can I give you some mustard? You start asking him about his wife. He deserved to die. He heard the speech from Avram Avinu, but he didn't take it to heart. It says in the pasuk, Hashem made a blockage in the body twice, 2 blockages. What are the 2 openings that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blocked? So in fact, it says the Gemara according to, it's always one less by the man. Achas bish. It wasn't 2 blockages by the man. Shichva zera, just zera. Shtayim bisha, but when it comes to the woman, it was 2. Shichva zera, that it wouldn't be pilot, the body wouldn't discharge it. V'leida, and she couldn't give birth. B'mastisatana, shtayim bish. In fact, it was 1 more. Shichva zera uktanim. Now we go to ktanim. Can't go to the bathroom. Shloisha bisha. Shichva zera uktanim, v'leida. Ravin Omar, let's add 1 more. Sholish bish. Shichva zera uktanim. Upi atabaz, they explain how sholish. The pasuk only says 2. He says no. Shichva zera uktanim is 1. 1 source. Upita bas. So the kids, you can't go not gdoilim and not ktanim. Can't go to the bathroom both ways. Arba v'isha shichva zera leido ktanim upita bas. Yad kol rechem. All wombs were blocked. Not even pregnant beings, even animals that lay eggs, they also couldn't lay their eggs. I have a very, very interesting Gemara here. We have Amar le Rava le Rabbi Bar Mori. Rava tells Rabbi Bar Mori 17 different inyanim. Beautiful. Each one is a beautiful inyan. And because I was bored, so I counted. Amar le Rava le Rabbi Bar Mori. That's 6 words times 17. 96 words are freebies on this daf right here. It says it 17 times. So don't worry about it. It looks large. 96. Take off 96 words. It's interesting. We're going to say quotes. People use these quotes. The poor get poor, the rich get richer. Where do you see certain quotes in the Torah? Are they real? Because the Torah has everything. And if it's a real quote, if it means something meaningful, it should be somewhere in the Torah. If you ask and you daven for your friend, and you and your friend need the same thing, you do it for your friend, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will answer your tefillah first. I was looking for a story for this. I couldn't find one. I asked Reb Nachman, I said, you probably have a good one. He says, no, nothing comes to mind. So I was desperate. In desperate times, call for desperate measures. I found a story, unbelievable story. Unbelievable story. There's 2 Bachrim that weren't married in yeshiva, and they decided that they're gonna say the entire Tehillim on Purim, one for the other. One of them got a little drunk, and he wakes up 3 a.m. He says, "Oi, I didn't say the Tehillim for my friend." So he goes to the beis medrash, she opens up Tehillim, starts saying Tehillim. In comes big Gvir into the beis medrash, 3:30 a.m. He sees the guy saying Tehillim, so he walks out. He says, "What's going on here?" He says, "I'm saying Tehillim for my friend." I'm saying Tehillim for my friend. He doesn't have a shidduch. And what about you? He says, "No, I'm also." He says, "I want you to marry my daughter." A guy that could be up 3:30 a.m. to say Tehillim for his friend. How do I know that this story is mamish false? Because I made it up. Mamish, Mila, made it up. I didn't have a good story. It was almost good, no? It was this close to being good. Made up. Rabbi say, completely false. You're disappointed, no?
It's like a cynic story.
You can't say this over. How do we know this is true, Rabbi side? No, there's a lot of stories that 2 girls didn't have a shidduch and they davened on another, and 2 people didn't have children and davened on one another, and mamish. This is the Gemara. Not to make a joke out of it. I was going to say, but the Olam knows how I met my wife. Eoiv, the famous Eoiv who had all those Yisurim, 3 out of his 4 friends told him, you probably deserve these Yisurim, So Hashem didn't like the way they spoke to him. So he gave them the Yisurim Eoiv. Eoiv davened for his friends, and Hashem healed him first. You said, that's the source. I'll say it from over here. We just had it. Avram, daven for Avimelech, that there shouldn't be any more blockages of the womb. And Hashem healed them. And then immediately Hashem pokad the Sarak Asher Omar, and Hashem gave Avram Avinu a child. Now, although Hashem already promised the child before the whole story with Avimelech, but it only went into play once Avram davened for Avimelech. Asher Omar Avram, says the Gemara. What is Kasher Omar Avram Eloi Avimelech? In that moment that Avram told Avimelech, that's when she became pregnant. Again, lucky krava. When you pull out the weeds, sometimes the cabbages get ruined. They say not in our country, but in other places in this war, let's say in Ukraine, when you hit the enemy, sometimes you'll get some collateral damage, some children, whatever. I'm not talking about terrorists, whatever. I'm talking about collateral damage. Sometimes you pull out the weeds, you get cabbage. All of you, tells the Navi, all of you, even the Nevi'im, you all sinned. From the Torah. Not from Yirmiyah. In the Torah it says by the man, when Klal Yisroel took man on Shabbos, so he tells, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe and Aaron, Adonam mi'antem, you. Why did you stop keeping our Torah, the mitzvahs in the Torah? Because in fact, there's arvas in Klal Yisroel. We're all one. So when these people sin, we all sin. Yes, we have to view ourselves and worry about ourselves and our mitzvahs, our Torah. We're all one big neshama. Yosef Tzaddik, when his brothers came to Mitzrayim, he took 5 to bring to Paroi. He was worried that he didn't want Paroi to see the real strong, large ones, and he'll make them in charge of the army. He wanted them to be able to continue doing what they do, and he brought the smaller ones. What's the Chamisha? The ones that had a doubling of their name by the brachas, right? The 2 Shemos, anyone that was called twice, those were the weaker. Why did Yaakov Avinu say their name twice? Because they were weak. They needed a double bracha. Here's the list, if you want to see. Dan, Zvulun, Gad, Asher, Naphtali. These are the 5 that Yosef brought. Yehuda Nami Yichpuli Michpal, but Yehuda was very strong, and he also had a double name. There's a reason why. And then the Gemara goes on to explain. What's pshat in this passage, the famous passage? All 40 years, Yehuda's bones were rolling around in the coffin, not like a tzaddik that has his whole body is whole. And it's a problem for whatever reason it is. Moshe Rabbeinu davened for him. All in front of Rebbeinu Shalom. Migarim l'Ruvein, Shiyoida, with the whole story, Bilbi Tzui Avi, with Ruvain and taking out his father's bed and putting in his mother's oil. Who caused Ruvain to admit Yehuda? The story with Yehuda and Tamar, when Ruvain saw what Yehuda did and he said, right, it's me, so Ruvain also did it. And Ruvain is whole, complete. So how come Yehuda is not complete? Miyad, Shema Hashem called Yehuda. Hashem heard Yehuda's voice, all his limbs came together. But they wouldn't allow him into Shemayim. What do we do in Shemayim? Do we chant over there? Or like other, they think that they go up there and they get married or whatever. No, that's not what Shemayim is. So Moshe continued to daven, but he got up there and everybody's learning Torah. That's what you do. You learn Torah and he couldn't understand a word that was going on. There was no shakti v'tayr back and forth. Yodav Rav Loi. So he davened that his hands should fight for him, so to speak. He should be able to contend with everybody. Yeah, so he started schmoozing and learning with them. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It wasn't the Torah that went la halacha. So Moshe Rabbeinu davened more, and then his Torah became halacha. How do I know? The poor get poor, and the rich get richer. Here, Yoshi did a little thing here for that. Something like that. Okay. It's kind of loud. Let's make it a little lower. The rich get richer, the poor get poor. Is that something that you see in the Torah? Leulei? Yes. When Klal Yisroel brings the first fruit to the Beis HaMikdash, so the very wealthy bring it in golden vessels, not so wealthy in silver, but the poor bring it in very simple vessels and straw. And what happens to the vessels? They give it to the kahn and get stuck by the kahn. So they actually lose more. The rich guy gets to take his gold home, and the poor guy loses his basket, his cheap basket. Vani misali nitzarim. Ashir mivim bikurim glazes shazav shekesed. Vani misali nitzarim shala rov v'klufa. Hasalim v'bikurim noisim l'koyanim, and they have to give the basket to the kohen. Amalei atam ad ma'asam v'ano amin ma'acha. I know from a different place. V'tomei yikra. Interesting. When a person is a Metzora, he has a chiyuv to go in the street and announce, I'm a Metzora. So not only is he a Metzora, he has the busha of announcing it. Rabbi said, we have a beautiful video here. Check this out. Yeah, Tomei Yikra. This is a headshot. There's another 10 seconds that they run away. The whole thing. I couldn't get it on. He sent it in the middle of the night, the guy. 3 in the morning. Huh? You like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Why do you have an Israeli taxi cab going to Brooklyn?
No. This is the new Meir Sharim. What are you talking about? You haven't been there in a while.
That's sneller.
Tama 38. Literally, Tama 38. David Steinberg sent me this morning email. He says today is the yahrzeits of the Manchester Rosh Hashiva. Today? Yesterday? Yesterday. He wrote it yesterday. And he says that the Chofetz Chaim says, what's this Tomei Yikra? He says, when a person speaks Lashon Hara, he loses the ability to daven. So when he screams, Tomei, I'm Tomei, I can't daven, my tefillah doesn't go up. I spoke Lashon Hara, please daven for me. Omalei Rava L'Rabbi Bar Mori, another one. Sponsored by Greg Haber for the success and the safe return of our hostages and chayalim, and for the zechus for all of Klal Yisroel. You should wake up early in the morning and eat bread in the summer before it gets hot. For the heat of the sun, and in the winter you should eat bread early in the morning because of the cold. And people say, people say the 60 runners try to chase me down, and they can't reach the person who eats bread in the morning. You say from over there, you should worship Hashem. And he blessed your bread and your water. You should eat bread with salt. You should eat bread with salt and a jug of water. And if you do that, you won't have any disease. Zumara, it really means the gallbladder. Why is it called a machla? Machla is a gematria. Mem lamed is 70. Ches is 8 plus 5 is 83. Yeshbo machla. And if you eat some bread with salt in the morning and some water, you won't have these machlas. So let me tell you a story. I want to share with you. I've never done this before. I'm going to tell you the story. Yesterday, when I was learning with my Rebbe, my Chavrusa, Rebbe Yedidya, I said, stop, I want to tell you what I think the pshat in the Gemara is, and he didn't like my pshat. So I want to share with you. It's very, very interesting. I read it like this. If you wake up in the morning and you do the daf and you learn Torah in the morning, 60 people could chase you, they're not going to catch up to you because you learned Torah in the morning. First you do zukriya shema with tefillah. You have to learn Torah. Not bread. Bread. The Gemara is talking about bread. Torah. You learn Torah. You learn Gemara with Rashi, Melach, V'kiddush Shamayim, and a little Tosfos. And that's going to save you from disease. Times Gemara, V'lamanikra Machla, Shmonim Shalosh. This already, I'm asking, is not the real pshat. Machla is 83. But you know what Torah is? Daf. 84 is Daf. Rabbi Isa, you did Daf. Okay? And then if you do that, so I decided I want to share with you the inside scoop of the Beis Medrash here in the morning. A couple of the guys were missing, but I want to show you. First of all, notice, I was learning start. And I tell my chavrusa this thing, and he tells me, he says, that's not the real pshat. And if you'll find somebody that says that, I said, what? What are you talking about? I bet you if you look it up, you'll find something. He says, you're not going to find it in any sefer, but if you do, it's going to be Hasidic sefer. So I scream out on the spot. I said, screamed out on the spot. I said a good pshat here, and my chavrusa argues with me. If somebody can find this pshat, I'd really appreciate it. And then I say, you know what? If somebody finds, I'll give $100. So you see the Belzer get up on the spot, and he takes he first he was upset. He says, Hasidic, not Hasidic. And if it's Hasidic, it's not good. It's also good. Fine. Belzer does. Maybe I'll point out who he is. I'll try to get the thing here, but it's all on video. Now, 20 minutes later, the Belzer screams out, "I found it." Okay, and that's the video you'll hear. So let me share it with you, just how the inside. And my son Lazi is the first time he ever did a video put together. So if there's any issues, cut him some slack. He put the words in. They're not 100% accurate what he wrote. My chavrusa didn't say it's not good. He said, okay, it's not the pshat. Fine, here we go. You ready? Let me get the laser first. Let me see if I can find the laser here. Oh, here. So Rabbi said, this is my chavrusa right over here. This is me over here. This is Eliyahu Jacobs, Rafal. This, by the way, is Hillel Abramson, came to learn. The Belzer is right over here, doing Sikrazat Pais, helping his Pais out. This is Eliyakim. He's gonna be in this corner 20 minutes later, right over there. And Rabbi Isai, here goes. אתה חושב שיהיה כתוב כאן מפורש ככה? זה איזה קרב. אם תמצא מקום אחד, נורמלי שלומד כמוך, זה חסידי. מה? לא לרב ברמורי? אני למדתי פשט כאן יפה, והוא קרב. הוא אמר, אם נמצאו את זה, אז אם תמצא את זה במקום, זה בסדר חסידי. אז אני רוצה שאתה תמצא את הפשט שלי, אני משאר לך $100. לא משאר לך
הכהן גם היה לצאי או לא?
הגוין?
הכהן.
תבין את הגוין?
כן, היה לצאי או לא?
כן,
נו, מה הוא אומר?
אני אקריא לך?
כן.
גומא. צף וקורי חוסר, לא אמר שלא ילבוסו, ישנה מה, אשמה יכול בקיץ, מהחמו, להציל שליוק.
Okay, so the Vilna Gaon says it's talking about Torah, but he says much better than me, of course. He says boiker means when you're younger, not in the morning. It means when you're younger. When you learn Torah when you're young, it lasts you for your life. Oh, my chavrusa did not like that. No, I said it's not the real, not simple pshat. I said I'm asking that's not pshat, but that the underlying. Okay, fine. I just thought I'll share with you what. That for sure not. No, that was just extra, just to get him mad. Yeah. That wasn't the main pshat. That was okay. We're continuing. If your friend calls you a donkey, sorry, let's get rid of that somehow, Gary. Okay. If your friend calls you a donkey, what do you do? Go put on a saddle, act like a donkey. Welcome back, Tomar. I didn't notice you. I noticed you. I didn't chap that you were. No, it's much more than that. It goes like this, basically. Here. First of all, look at this. The guy's holding a saddle. You donkey, you. Here. Kitzer. The point is that if somebody calls you a donkey, it doesn't mean that, oh, he's bad. Hashem sent a shliach. He's a bad guy. He shouldn't be calling you names. He shouldn't be accusing you of things. But sometimes Hashem is trying to wake you up. And he's saying, listen, you might be a shtickle donkey. So act like one. Fix it. It's a sign from Hashem. The Malach tells Hagar, hey, you're the slave of Sarai. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? And she said, she doesn't say, I'm not a shifcha anymore. I was thrown out. I'm already free. No, you're right. You called me a shifcha. I'm a shifcha. I'll take it. Amalei Rabbi Mamari. Mina ha milsa. Where do we know this saying? Dami inchi milsa gna the bach kadim imra. When you meet somebody for the first time, you say, "Hi, I'm Eli. I'm an addict. What's your Wi-Fi code?" I mean, instead you say your chesroinus right away. You say, "I'm a shtickle off. Shalom aleichem. I'm a shtickle off. Just so you should know, and I have a little limp. My knee is not good. You go right into it. How do you know? Because it says, that means you. First thing is, you should know I'm a slave. The rest, shalom aleichem.
Who he is, they should understand why he said
it doesn't matter. We take things literally also.
That's very interesting, right?
There's a lot of interesting rights here, but there's also as well. A duck is looking downwards. His head is downwards, but his eyes are straight forward. He's looking ahead. So that's the story with Abigail. David HaMelech was very upset at Novel, her husband. He needed food for the soldiers, and he didn't want to give. He was Mevayish David. So David said, "You know what? Let's go wipe them out." So she came with a big speech, prepared speech, and she convinced David HaMelech not to kill her husband. But then she said, as she's leaving, she says, "If one day it happens that my husband is not going to be here anymore, remember me. I'm a good shidduch." 10 days later, Novel left this world, and David HaMelech married her. So what do you see from here? It says Rashi that when a person wants to ask for something and he's too shy because of anova, he doesn't want. But when it comes to Torah and when it comes to even other things, parnasa, be strong. Ask to learn with somebody chavrusa. Ask for parnasa. It's okay. Don't be an anov. She said, "Hey, I might be a good shidduch for you one day." That's what it says here. She saw it's all rocha kodesh and everything, but Aval Pikein, we could learn a lesson. Oh, I gotta tell you this. There's a Rav had a case. A couple came to him and they wanted to get divorced. So the Rav heard from the story. He's like, he's been through this many, many times. This couple should stay married. There's no reason for them to get divorced. So he tells one of the really chashuv people, a known person. He says, "Listen, when they're here, you come to me in the middle, whisper something in my ear. I'm going to scream at you, and you run out of the room." So okay. So they come and they start schmoozing this get the hair, and the guy comes into the room. He whispers something to the Rav. The Rav says, "Are you crazy? She's not divorced yet. I don't know if it's a good shidduch for you or not. Get out of here." So the husband is like, "What? This chashva guy wants to marry my wife already? We're not even divorced. Okay, fine. I think it's a good shidduch for me. Stay married. Okay." I'm just thinking, like, she tells him, "By the way, I'm not divorced. It might be a good shidduch later on." If you're gonna have a 60 toothaches, for the teeth. The kol charvi shama v'leyochal. When you hear your friend chewing away over there, eating ice cream, eating a steak in front of you, and you don't eat it, your teeth gonna hurt. So Adonai made a suda over there and he invited all the people that were going to be married. Again, you'll say, "Oh, but it's not the story." I hear. But all the people that were part of the king with David, he didn't invite to the meal. So it bothered him. He wasn't invited to the meal. I bring it from another place. So Yitzchak gets married. And then it says, sort of like Keilu. Obviously, that's not what happened, but you see that Avram kind of had a jealousy of his son that he got married. I also want to get married. So this is unbelievable. Many times we give our akaras atayv to the wrong person. You have to realize who to give the akaras atayv to. We sometimes thank the waiter who pours the wine without giving the right akaras atayv to the owner, to the balabas that invited me to this meal. He paid for the wine. The guy just went like this, but the $1,000 bottle was bought by the balabas. Did you say thank you to him? So the Art Scroll brings here a beautiful story from the Shita Mekubetzes. He says that the Rimigash, the Talmud of the Rif, Says the Rif was very sick, and they said you have to go to a bathhouse. He went to some private bathhouse, and he was healed over there, and he stayed by the guy's house. Later on, the guy lost all his money, and they wanted to do like this bankruptcy thing, and they wanted to sell off some of the assets. And the Rif excused himself. He says, I can't be a dayan on this case. Why? Because the bathhouse helped me. I'm not going to do anything against the bathhouse. So says his Talmud, the Rimigash, if the Rif acted like that for an object, something, so certainly for a human being that did you good, one time, did you one good, you have to have a curse of type forever. And then certainly, Alachas Kama V'Kama to Refuah Shleyma gave you life and everything else. Exactly, with the stick and the, 100%. Moshe Rabbeinu put his hand on top of Yeshua, Leman Yishmu V'Yiro Kol Hadas Bnei Yisrael. Yeshua Benun Molei Ruach Chachma. Why was Yeshua Benun full of Chachma? So the Torah is telling us what people said. Ki Samach Moshe Siyadav Alav. It's not because Moshe Rabbeinu put his hands on Yeshua that Yeshua became Molei Chachma. Because Baruch Hu put it in there. So what are you giving Yishkach to Moshe Rabbeinu? V'Yishmu Elav Kol Bnei Yisrael. This Rabbi Yisai was a kiss from Hashem for me yesterday. Noam Fix sent me, Shkoyach Noam, this whole thing that, it seems like the war in Lebanon is imminent, and one should put aside a lot of water to flush the toilets and different plastic bags and get batteries, and you should know that if you have electric oven, you need a gas oven. So fake news and not fake news, whatever it was, for me it was good because I was able to send it to my wife. And I want to see her reaction watching from the window. She gets she comes in and she says, what are we going to do? I said, you got to buy a lot of tuna cans. You need tuna cans. So she says, but the boys don't eat anything but pizza. I said, they're going to have a problem. They're going to have to get used to tuna. A lot of guys go to the army, and for a whole week they eat tuna. Just tuna. And there's a lot of people are sensitive to tuna. They have to eat tuna. And after 2-3 days when they're starving, they eat tuna. She says, my kids, they'll die before they eat tuna. I said, watch and see. The kids she leaves the office, and I continue. I continue the next word. What do you see that people say? A dog, when he's hungry, he's starving, Glali Mavla, he'll eat stones, or the better pshat in Rashi, for my story, is that he'll eat tuna. He'll eat soya. So Rashi says, I don't like the pshat at soya. Why? Even though Glali usually means soya, but he says a dog always eats soya. What's the chiddush? So, because his family is going to eat stones. How do I know? If you're full, you'll eat honey from honeycomb. But if you're hungry, kol mar motoik. Even tuna becomes sweet. Sarche should be, but by me again, I don't know. This woman didn't do a great job today. The Sarche. Once the article says, go with the article. So, one of my children, unfortunately, I remember he used to tend to have not such good friends. So we changed schools. On the first day, he comes home, he says, I got a great friend. I said, who? He says, this kid is amazing. I said, what? Well, what? He says, this kid, he's the kid that burnt down the school. I'm like, that's your friend? No, he's not like the other losers in the class. They learn. This guy's a chaver, man. I'm serious. This is what he said. Anyways, how do you know? Where do you see this in the Torah? So, no, Baruch Hashem, Oiskevaks, Baruch Hashem, brings just nachas. So, a bad palm tree goes to the kino, the sharcha, the bad reeds. It's all over. It's in the Torah, it's in the Nevi'im, it's in the Mishnah, you see? The bad goes to the bad. Bad people went to Yiftach. All birds were there. And humans go to the ones that are similar to them. Birds of a feather flock together. Now, says in the Mishnah, we have a beautiful thing that Yoshi did here to explain this Gemara. On the left, you have a piece of wood that's plain simple, not nothing. So it's pshute kliyetz. Pshute kliyetz is not mekabel tuma. On the right side, you have a table. You took a piece of wood, you made it, you fashioned it into a kli, so it's mekabel tuma. Now, if you look closely, there's two hooks, a metal hook. What is a metal hook? Is it makabel tumah or not? So if it's fashioned, if it's screwed into the plain, simple piece of wood, and then a mouse touched it, a dead mouse touched it, a sheretz touched it, sheretz is avatuma, and he would touch something that's makabel tumah, becomes a rishon. So since the one on the left is attached to a piece of wood that's not makabel tumah, so the metal hook itself is like that piece of wood. It's not makabel tumah, it's tar. But the one on the right, it's the same hook. But since it's hooked into a piece of wood that's makabel tumah, it's makabel tumah. The tar go with the tar, and the tummy go with the tummy. Usnina b'braisa. That's a famous saying in Hebrew. Here's a zarzir, here's the oirav. Similar looking birds. Now, there's a man that says that the starling is actually kosher. But the other man says, listen, if he's kosher, why does he go together with the raven? You don't see pigeons with ravens. The pshat is, they're both tamei. I think when in Eretz Yisrael, when they want to say that, the guy is bad and look at his friends, and they say, if you try to wake up your friend for shachris and he doesn't listen to you, Rami Guda, lift up a giant wall, Shadi knock him out with the wall. I try to make you tar. You didn't become tar from your tumah. It's too late. I'm just going to bury you. Bury the shasas well that you drank from. Don't throw stone into it. Don't throw dirt in there. This is where the article says this thing, that a person should have akaras hatoiv to a person that does good to him. If somebody gave you to drink, never ever throw a stone at him. A person does one good thing for you, have akaras hatoiv for the rest of your life to him. If you're going to lift it with me, I'll help you out. But if you're going to make me do it on my own, I'm not going to do it. Also a saying. This is Daf Torah from last week, this past Shabbos. It says, if you go with me, great. If not, not. So you see, this saying in the Navi, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day, a wonderful Shabbos. Mincha today, I think there's 2 minyanim. One at 5 to 1, one at 1/4 to 2, followed by the Hebrew Shua at 2. Hebrew Shir at 2. Motzei Shabbos, 8:15 is the Shir, 9:30 in Hebrew. Good. Oh, Shila Malo, Isisoina, Yelori Mayo Voyezri.